Dear friends, today we talk about this really important topic of intimate relationships. And though I'm not face to face with you as you hear this talk, but as you listen, probably you can keep reflecting on your own life, on the intimate relationships that you have witnessed in your life, and or for all of us, the most important one is that of our parents' marriage, and then the intimate relationships, if there are in your own life. So, even as we observe others, we learn a lot, we absorb a lot, yeah, and even as we listen to a deeper understanding of a particular topic, even then we look at the wider, deeper dimensions of it. So it is possible to expand our understanding of this topic. So this is something like, probably like marriage is something that is a given for, still a given for people in India. It's the path that we are supposed to follow. But whenever somebody marries, there is no exploration, no deeper understanding of even an attempt to understand marriage. Like nobody really talks about it. Like, how can something so big and so different be undertaken without any preliminary understanding of what it entails? Sometimes we have the Bollywoody ideas. It seems that, probably we'll have a love marriage and be happily ever after, or it's an arranged marriage and everything will kind of magically work out. It's not like this. It's much, much deeper than that. And I really feel that before embarking on this step, any person must explore what happens in a marriage. And to understand it, I feel that one has to be, first of all, be able to connect to oneself. So if one is not connected with oneself, how would it be possible to connect to another person? Yeah. So for me, if it were given to me, I would first of all make inner child healing mandatory for anybody who is considering marriage or considering becoming a parent. Yeah. So, what does it mean to be connected to ourselves? You know, so many of us, we are externally oriented, as in very driven towards the goals and the purposes outside and what is happening outside, who is saying what, and we are less oriented towards what we are feeling, or we are at the mercy of our emotions which have become beyond us. Maybe the anger has become beyond us, or we are completely disconnected, as in we are not even able to feel our emotions. So, if we are in such a state, how will we connect to another person? So, I feel the journey of a good marriage has to be the journey of ourselves as becoming individuals who understand ourselves, individuals who know our limits and boundaries. A person who cannot respect his own limits and boundaries will not be able to respect other persons. So there will be invasion of space in the marriage, or there will be too much space and no closeness. So because the person does not know what it means to have boundaries and limitations, understanding one's own limitation. If one does not understand one's limitation and maybe is a perfectionist himself, is too high standards for himself, he'll probably have the same for his partner. He'll be very unforgiving, right? So what we are, we bring into our relationship. And I really feel the spiritual purpose behind any intimate relationship or marriage is for us to be able to see ourselves. So the other becomes like a mirror in which we can see ourselves. So if a person is being critical with a partner and is able to observe that yes, I am being critical, So you would know, yes, okay, so this element is present inside me. Or being nasty or mean. Oh, this is present inside me. But if we are too oriented or only oriented towards what the other person is doing, we will never be able to realize ourselves. We will never be wanting to look at ourselves. And what would be so important would be our own journey on how we become better people in anything. So many times when people in conflicts and relationships, they come to me and they are so focused on what the other person is doing, and they just feel if this person would stop doing this, everything is going to be fine. Yeah. And I've always tried to take them back to themselves. Okay, so let each person can focus on himself. What is it that I am doing? Because what we are ourselves doing, we can take responsibility for that. That is our point of power, and we can change that. Yeah. So, using the relationship like a mirror is very important. For one, respecting boundaries and limits, second, is very, very important. There has to be spaces between the togetherness. That is very important in any relationship. Khalil Gibran said that. So I feel it's a beautiful expression. Then I feel the third point I will say is that there has to be a balance between the giving and the receiving in any relationship actually. So if we receive too much, then also without giving anything back, then also relationship will become imbalanced. Right? So there has to be a balance what we are giving, and it's probably a good idea to give a little more than what we are receiving. Right? I feel the fourth point will be communication. So communication doesn't mean shouting out, the person's ideas. It means being able to sit down quietly and have a space in which person can express himself and is heard. Usually we're not able to do this because we have no model for such a communication in our families of origin. It just does not happen. So people either are in the dysfunctional families, either there is the um, no freedom to speak out about what they are actually feeling. Okay, or and when there is so much suppression, there can be this expression of speaking out coming as angry speaking out, not as a calm speaking out. Okay. Or they can be like nobody is listening to anyone. So when we have been brought up in such families, we repeat the same behaviors. So it's important for us to see what we are doing. So it's very important for all of us to reflect on what our parents' marriage was like. Was there mutual respect? Or did they listen to each other? Did the children get a fair hearing? So unconsciously, we try to repeat the template of our parents' marriage and their parenting, and that is not a good idea. So we have to choose for ourselves how we would want to be and then be that. So I would say that for every individual, he has to work on himself and use the intimate relationship as an opportunity for self growth. So if our goal is not to be happily living all the time, so then also the strain on relationship is less. There is more understanding, and if both partners are committed to self growth through this intimate relationships, it can become one of the most beautiful channels for evolution. So, all the best for your intimate relationships. May they all be prospering, growing, evolving always. Thank you so much.